We are told, basically from the moment we can understand language, that perfection is a virtue. We're told to aim high. We see those posters, in classrooms that say pressure is good.
Pressure makes diamonds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That pressure is what turns a lump of coal into a diamond. It's a nice metaphor, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's inspiring.
It is.
But we rarely talk about what happens when that kind of tectonic pressure is applied to something that isn't carbon.
Right.
When you apply that kind of crushing atmospheric weight to a human psyche, it doesn't create a diamond.
Yeah.
It creates a fracture, a hairline crack that grows silently, invisibly, until the structural integrity of the soul just gives way.
And when it gives way, it doesn't just crumble into dust, it explodes.
Yeah.
It creates a situation where the fear of failing a test becomes more terrifying than the prospect of violence. That's the paradox we are looking at today. What happens when the biological instinct to survive, to protect life, is overridden by the psychological compulsion to succeed? Or maybe more accurately, the compulsion to appear successful.
That distinction between being successful and simply appearing successful, that's going to be the linchpin of this entire deep dive.
Yeah.
Because we usually think of expectations as, these benevolent things. Parents want the best for you. Society wants you to contribute. But there's a tipping point, a very specific psychological event horizon, where high expectations stop being a ladder to climb and they mutate into a weapon.
A lethal weapon.
A lethal weapon. The question we have to grapple with today is just terrifyingly simple. What happens when a child is so afraid of shattering the illusion of perfection that they are willing to shatter everything else instead?
Including the lives of the people who set those expectations in the first place.
Welcome. You are listening to the premiere of Psyche Files.
It is good to be here. And for those of you joining us for this first deep dive, we should probably set the stage.
I think so.
There are 1,000 shows out there that will tell you what happened. They will give you the blood, the gore, the timeline, the courtroom drama. We're here to do something different.
Yeah.
We aren't just retelling true crime, we're diagnosing it.
Exactly. Our goal, our obsession really, is to bridge that gap between the criminal action and the psychological theory. We want to peel back the layers of the human mind to understand how a person gets from point A.
In a normal suburban life, piano lessons, figure skating.
Point Z?
Because point Z murder, it never happens in a vacuum.
Never.
It is almost always the result of a long, slow psychological erosion. And that brings us to our subject for today, Jennifer Pan.
Jennifer Pan. On the surface, if you just read the headlines, the narrative seems so simple. A daughter kills her parents. It sounds like a monster story. It sounds like pure evil. But we aren't here to look at her as a monster today. We're looking at her as a psychological study.
We're looking at the mechanism of breakdown. We're dissecting the golden child phenomenon to see how it can go so horribly, horribly wrong.
The central question, the one that anchors this entire deep dive, is this. How does the golden child, the straight-A student, the pride of the family, the one who does everything right, how does that child become a killer?
To answer that, we have to leave the crime scene. We have to ignore the flashing lights for a moment and go back.
Way back.
Back to the environment where the psyche was formed. We have to go to Markham, Ontario.
Okay, let's unpack the setting first. Markham. It's not some dark alley in a gritty city. It's a nice place.
It's suburbia.
Total suburbia, manicured lawns, 2-car garages, safety. It's the kind of place where people move specifically to give their kids a better life. It represents the dream. And that brings us to the Pan family, Han and Bijhai Pan.
They were the epitome of the immigrant success story.
Absolutely.
Both fled Vietnam. They faced incredible hardships. They worked as laborers in the automotive industry. They saved every single penny. They built a life from scratch.
Right.
They were high-achieving individuals themselves, in terms of resilience and work ethic. And naturally, they wanted that same success, if not more, for their children. It's a very common dynamic in immigrant families. What some psychologists call the debt of sacrifice.
That's a heavy term, the debt of sacrifice. It sounds like a contract you sign at birth.
In many ways, it is. It's this unspoken agreement that because the parents suffered to get here, because they endured the refugee camps or the low-wage jobs, the children must succeed to justify that suffering.
So the child's success becomes the repayment plan.
It does. But in the Pan household, wanting success wasn't just some vague hope or general encouragement. It was a rigorous, non-negotiable architecture for living.
Right.
The source material paints a picture of an environment that was just incredibly controlled. We're talking about a restricted social life that would baffle most modern teenagers.
It wasn't just strict. It was like a surveillance state of two. Jennifer was effectively banned from dating during her high school years. Her social interactions were monitored.
School dances.
Out of the question. They were seen as distractions. But the real centerpiece of this control was academic. The demand wasn't just do your best.
No.
The demand was straight A's, always. And not just A's, but accolades, piano trophies, figure skating medals. She practiced figure skating until late at night, then came home to do homework until the early morning. It was relentless.
And this is where we really need to introduce our first major psychological framework to understand what was happening in that house. Because strict parents is a cliche, right? We've all had friends with strict parents.
Sure. Curfews, chores.
Right. But this is something different. The sources refer to it as tiger parenting, a term popularized by Amy Chua. But psychologically, we need to be a bit more specific. We're talking about authoritarian control combined with something called narcissistic extension.
Okay, let's unpack narcissistic extension. That sounds clinical, but I have a feeling it's something a lot of people have felt.
Oh, it is. It's when a parent views the child not as a separate individual with their own needs and desires, but as an extension of themselves.
Like a limb.
Exactly like a limb. If your arm is strong, you feel strong. If the child succeeds, I succeed. But the dark side is, if the child fails.
I fail.
Exactly. So the child's performance becomes the parent's entire emotional regulator. The parent's self-esteem is just outsourced to the child.
So Jennifer getting a B isn't just Jennifer needing to study harder. It's a direct attack on the parent's self-worth. It's a public humiliation for them.
Precisely. The stakes are raised artificially high, and this leads to the concept of conditional love. In a healthy developmental environment, what we call good enough parenting, a child learns that their behavior can be good or bad, but they are inherently worthy of love.
Right. The message is, I love you, but I didn't like that you hit your brother.
Perfect example. The love is the constant, the behavior is the variable. In a high-control, conditional love environment, the child learns that their worth is entirely tied to their metrics.
Wow.
They are not loved for who they are loved for what they achieve.
It turns the home into a marketplace. You trade grades for affection. If you bring home an A, you purchase love. If you bring home a B, you're bankrupt.
You aren't just a student who slipped up. You are a disappointment. You have lost value. And this creates a very dangerous emotional dichotomy. The source notes highlight the difference between guilt and shame, and this distinction is vital for understanding Jennifer Pan.
Yeah, people use those words interchangeably all the time, right? I feel so guilty or I feel so ashamed.
They do, but they aren't the same. Clinically, they are worlds apart. Guilt is, I did something bad.
Okay.
It focuses on behavior. It allows for redemption because you can change your behavior. You can apologize. You can fix it.
Right.
Shame is different. Shame is, I am bad.
It lands differently. I am bad. That feels permanent.
It attacks the core identity. It's a stain that won't wash out. If your worth is your grades and your grades slip, it's not that you made a mistake. It's that you are fundamentally flawed.
You're broken.
You are broken. And when a child feels that deep, corrosive shame, they will do anything, literally anything, to avoid feeling it again.
Right.
They will dissociate from reality to protect their ego. They can't live with the reality of being bad, so they invent a reality where they are good.
And that leads us directly to the deception. Because Jennifer Pan didn't just crack under the pressure and rebel.
No.
She didn't run away. She didn't scream at her parents or dye her hair green and join a punk band. She built a facade. She decided to maintain the illusion at the cost of reality.
And she started building it early.
Yeah.
The sources tell us the first crack appeared in the 8th grade. This is the origin story of the lie.
8th grade, so she's what, 13 or 14 years old? And she fails a class. Now, in a different household, this is a bad Tuesday. You get grounded, maybe you lose your phone for a week, you get a tutor. It's a learning moment.
Right.
But for Jennifer,
It was the end of the world. It was the confirmation of that shame we just talked about. If she showed that report card to her parents, she wasn't just showing a bad grade. She was showing them that she was a failure.
that their sacrifice was in vain.
Exactly. So instead of admitting the failure and facing that loss of love, she altered her report card.
She faked it. And old school, too. We're talking scissors, glue, a photocopier.
Exactly. She physically cut out the grades she needed, pasted them over the F, and photocopied it. And the crucial thing is, it worked.
Of course it did.
The parents were happy, they praised her, the shame was avoided, the golden child image was intact. And that moment, the moment the lie worked, set a precedent that would define the next decade of her life.
Wow.
The lesson learned wasn't, I should study harder. The lesson was, I can control reality if I manipulate the documents.
It's a powerful lesson. It's almost like a magic trick.
Yeah.
But this is where it gets really horrifying. Because it didn't stop at 8th grade. It wasn't a one-time fix.
Not even close.
It snowballed into what I can only describe as a masterclass in deception. We are not talking about lying about where you were on a Friday night. We are talking about the university lie.
The scale of this is it's hard to comprehend. Jennifer Pan pretended to attend Ryerson University, now Toronto Metropolitan University, for 4 years.
4 years. Just imagine the logistics of that. The daily grind of maintaining that fiction. Every single morning, waking up, packing a bag, saying goodbye to your parents, and going nowhere.
Well, she went somewhere. She went to the library. She worked odd jobs as a waitress. She sat in cafes. She essentially lived this phantom life.
But the administrative burden of that lie.
It's incredible.
It wasn't just I'm going to school.
Yeah.
She had to produce evidence. She forged transcripts. She faked tuition bills. She bought used textbooks and filled notebooks with notes for classes she wasn't taking.
That's the part that blows my mind. The notes. She was studying for a degree she wasn't getting.
Right.
She was literally doing the homework for a class she wasn't even enrolled in because she had to be ready. If her father asked, "What did you learn in pharmacology today?" she had to have an answer. She was method acting her own life 204/7.
Then there's the graduation photos. This is the detail that always sticks with people. She didn't just say, "I graduated." She went out, found someone who could get her a gown, hired a photographer, posed, smiled, knowing the whole time it was a complete fabrication. Why go to that length?
Because of the golden child syndrome. By this point, the lie wasn't just a way to avoid trouble, it was a survival mechanism. This brings us to the concept of pathological lying, or pseudologia fantastica.
That sounds like a Harry Potter spell. Pseudologia fantastica.
It does, doesn't it? But it's a very real condition. In this context, we have to look at the function of the lie. Jennifer wasn't lying for the thrill of it.
No.
She wasn't lying to con people out of money in the traditional sense. The lie existed solely to preserve the false self.
The false self. That's a Winnicott concept, right?
It is. Donald Winnicott, a famous psychoanalyst, he argued that if a child's true feelings and needs are rejected by the parents, the child develops a false self to comply with the parents' demands. This false self becomes a shield.
So for Jennifer, the university graduate was the false self. It was her armor.
Exactly. The real Jennifer, the one struggling, working as a waitress, wanting a boyfriend, feeling inadequate, was hidden deep inside the castle, protected by this massive, elaborate lie.
It's like she built a dam to hold back a river of disappointment.
Yeah.
And every day, the water got higher, so she had to build the dam higher. And eventually, you're building a dam that is holding back an entire ocean.
That's a perfect analogy, and here's the scary part about pathological lying in this context. Over time, the liar begins to believe their own fabrication.
Wait. She believed she was actually graduating.
In a psychological sense, yeah. The reality that she was a dropout, working odd jobs, living a lie, was too painful to accept. It was too shameful, so the brain protects itself. When she was telling her parents about her classes or her professors, on some level, she was playing the role so deeply that it became her reality. The fake life was the only place where she felt safe.
Because in the fake life, she was still the golden child.
And in the real life, she was a failure.
That is heartbreaking, in a way. It's a tragedy of the mind before it ever becomes a tragedy of violence. It's a person erasing themselves to fit a mold. But reality has a nasty habit of catching up. You can't fake a degree forever. Eventually, the dam breaks.
And for Jennifer Pan, the breaking point was catastrophic. Her parents became suspicious.
The cracks were showing.
The cracks in the story were too big. They started tracking her mileage. They noticed she didn't have a graduation ticket for them. They eventually called the friend she was supposedly staying with. The lie just collapsed.
They found out everything.
Everything. The fake degree, the fake classes, the fake life, the fact that she was living with her boyfriend, Daniel Wong, part-time. It all unraveled at once.
I can't even imagine that confrontation, the betrayal they must have felt. But their reaction.
Yeah.
This is so pivotal.
It is.
They didn't kick her out. They didn't disown her. They did the opposite.
They clamped down. They went into hyper-control mode. They confiscated her phone. They took away her laptop.
Took away her car.
They essentially placed her under house arrest. They drove her to her piano lessons, which she was now teaching, and waited in the car to make sure she didn't go anywhere else. They tracked her every move.
And we need to remind everyone listening of something very, very important here. Jennifer Pan wasn't 14 when this happened. She wasn't 16.
No.
She was 24 years old.
That is the crucial context. A 24-year-old woman grounded indefinitely, banned from seeing her boyfriend, Daniel Wong, banned from communicating with the outside world.
Most 24-year-olds, if their parents tried to take their phone and lock them in the house, would just walk out the front door.
Right.
They'd say, "I'm an adult, this is insane, see you at Thanksgiving." They might couch surf or stay with a friend. Why didn't she? Why did she accept this imprisonment?
This is where we apply the concept of arrested development and enmeshment.
Unpack those for us, because looking from the outside, it makes no sense.
Physically, biologically, Jennifer Pan was 24. She was an adult. But emotionally, psychologically, many experts would argue she was stunted.
Frozen.
Frozen at the age where the lying began, her early teens. Because she never had to navigate the real world, because she spent her entire young adulthood constructing a fantasy and avoiding conflict, she never developed the coping mechanisms of an adult.
So even though she looks like an adult, her emotional toolkit is that of a 13-year-old.
Precisely. And the enmeshment means she didn't know where she ended and her parents began. She didn't have the autonomy to just leave.
Wow.
In her mind, her parents were these omnipotent figures. They held all the power. This is similar to learned helplessness. Even though the cage door was technically unlocked, she could legally leave. She believed she was trapped. She felt she couldn't survive without them, yet she couldn't survive with them.
So when they grounded her, she didn't process it as an adult negotiation.
Yeah.
She processed it like a trapped child.
And that reframes the entire motive for the crime. We often look at murder plots as these sophisticated, cold-blooded calculations. And there was calculation here for sure. But the emotional driver wasn't an adult desire for freedom.
It was what?
It was an adolescent tantrum.
An adolescent tantrum with lethal consequences.
Yes. The logic wasn't, I will move out, get a job, and start a new life. The logic was, the parents are the obstacle. The parents are the one making the rules. If I get rid of the parents, the rules disappear. It's a frighteningly simple, almost childish equation. It's magical thinking. If X is gone, Y is perfect.
If I get rid of the parents, the rules disappear. That sends a shiver down my spine. It's so detached from the reality of death, it treats people like objects to be removed from a board game.
And that dissociation is key. Remember, she had been practicing dissociation for years. She'd been living a fake life. Planning the murder was just another layer of the fantasy, a way to edit the script of her life so she could be happy. She viewed her parents not as humans, but as the wardens of her prison. And in her mind, the only way to open the prison was to eliminate the wardens.
This way we have the setup, the tiger parenting and enmeshment. We have the deception, the golden child facade and the false self. We have the breaking point, the arrested development. And all of this leads us to the night of November 8th, 2010. The incident.
This is where the psychological theory manifests into physical violence. This is where the fantasy spills into the real world.
It was a home invasion, or at least that's what it was supposed to look like. Jennifer unlocks the front door. 3 hitmen enter the Pan home in Markham.
It was brutal. They corralled the parents into the basement. They covered their heads with blankets. They demanded money, and then they shot them.
Both parents were shot. Psyche Pan, Jennifer's mother, was killed instantly. Han Pan, her father, was shot in the face and neck. He survived, but barely. He was left in a coma.
And while this carnage is happening, while her parents are being executed in the basement, Jennifer is playing her role upstairs.
Her performance.
Yes. She played the victim. She was tied to the banister by one of the gunmen, acting out a script they had agreed upon. She called 911, and if you listen to that call, it is chilling.
She sounds terrified.
She is pleading for help. She is screaming.
It ties back to what you said about the graduation photos. She commits to the role. She is method acting the grieving daughter while the gunshots are still ringing in her ears.
She does, and for a while it seemed like it might work. The narrative was a tragic home invasion, a robbery gone wrong.
Right.
The surviving daughter left to pick up the pieces.
And the motive, in her mind, was twofold. Inheriting the estate, the money was part of it. The golden child needs resources.
Sure.
But the real driver was Daniel Wong.
The forbidden boyfriend. The Romeo to her Juliet. Again, it's that adolescent fantasy. If my parents are gone, I get the money and I get the boy. And we live happily ever after.
It's a fairy tale ending, constructed out of blood. She thought she was rewriting the end of her story.
She did.
But there was a glitch in the plan. A massive, unforeseen glitch.
The father.
Han Pan. He didn't die.
He woke up.
I can't even imagine the tension in that hospital room. Jennifer must have been terrified. But also, think about the cognitive dissonance. She has to visit him, play the loving daughter, hold his hand, while wishing he was dead.
Right, while knowing she paid the men who put him there.
And rightly so, because when Han Pan woke from his coma, he didn't just remember the shooting. He remembered the details leading up to it.
He had a revelation.
A huge one.
He told the police what he saw. He didn't see a terrified daughter tied up and helpless. He saw his daughter walking around the house freely. He saw her talking to the gunmen.
Like they were friends.
Like they were co-conspirators, which they were. That image, the father looking up, bleeding, and seeing his daughter chatting with the men who are about to shoot him, that shatters the entire victim narrative.
It changes everything.
Everything.
That is the twist. The golden child wasn't a victim. She was the architect. And once the police had that statement, the game was over. They brought her in.
And this brings us to one of the most fascinating pieces of source material we have, the interrogation room. This is where we see the psychology under a microscope.
This is where the mask comes off.
Exactly. Detective Guts versus Jennifer Pan.
It's a psychological chess match.
It is. But by this point, Jennifer is playing with a distinct disadvantage. The police know. She just doesn't know that they know yet. They use a technique called minimization.
Okay, explain that. Minimization.
It's a standard interrogation tactic, part of the Reed technique. The detective acts like they understand why you did it.
They give you an out.
They offer you a moral out. They don't say you're a murderer. They say you must have been under so much pressure, you must have snapped, anyone would have snapped. They make the crime seem like a natural reaction to an unnatural situation to get the suspect to agree.
Let's look at the transcript snippet we have. Detective Guts goes on the offensive immediately, but he does it by attacking her strongest skill, her lying.
He says, and I quote, "Jennifer, you're good at lying. You've been doing it for years. You lied to your parents about school. You lied about your job. You're lying to me now."
He's dismantling her identity. He's saying, I see you, I see the mask. He strips away the golden child defense. And how does she respond?
She falls back on the one defense she thinks is unassailable. She says, "I'm not lying. I loved them."
I loved them.
It's a desperate attempt to reclaim the moral high ground, but Guts doesn't let her have it. He counters with a devastating psychological insight that gets right to the core of the tiger parenting trauma.
He says, you didn't love them. You felt trapped by them, and you hired those men to let you out of the cage.
Let you out of the cage. That phrase is so precise. It acknowledges the pressure she was under. It acknowledges the dynamic we talked about at the start.
Right.
He isn't saying, you are an evil monster. He's saying, you are a trapped animal and you bit the hand that fed you. He is validating her feelings of oppression to get the confession.
And then he drops the hammer. He tells her, your dad saw you, Jennifer. He saw you walking around freely while the men were in the house.
That's the checkmate. The reality she constructed, the victim narrative, is gone.
It's evaporated.
The ghost she thought she created is actually alive and pointing a finger at her.
Yeah.
And her reaction in that moment is pure, raw honesty. Perhaps the first honest moment she's had in a decade.
The source describes a long pause. Her voice breaks, and she says, I just wanted to be with Daniel.
I just wanted to be with Daniel.
It's so small.
It is. It's not the speech of a criminal mastermind. It's not a manifesto about freedom or money or hatred. It's the plea of a teenager.
It connects right back to the Arrested Development theory.
Exactly. A sophisticated adult doesn't hire hitmen to kill their parents so they can date their boyfriend. An adult moves out. An adult gets a restraining order. An adult accepts disownment. But a 13-year-old might fantasize about the parents disappearing so they can go to the prom. Jennifer Pan, trapped in that developmental stasis, unable to distinguish between her fantasy life and reality, actually acted on it.
Why?
She tried to solve an adult problem with a child's understanding of consequence.
The golden child mask finally slipped off completely in that interrogation room. And underneath, there wasn't a monster and there wasn't a genius. There was just a stunted, terrified, furious child who wanted her way.
And who had been taught through years of conditioning that failure was not an option, that the image must be preserved at all costs. She couldn't fail at being the daughter, so she had to start being the daughter, and the only way she knew how to do that in her warped, immature logic was to erase the parents.
So what does this all mean? When we zoom out, when we diagnose this tragedy as per our mission here at Psyche Files, what do we see? Because it's easy to look at this and just say, crazy girl, crazy family.
Right.
But it feels bigger than that.
It is bigger. We see the catastrophic failure of a specific kind of love. We see what happens when a human being is reduced to a set of metrics grades, piano lessons, status. We see the danger of the conditional love contract. When you raise a child to believe their only value is their output, you are building a ticking time bomb.
We see that the drive for perfection, when it's fueled by shame rather than passion, is unsustainable. It's a hollow shell. It's a Ponzi scheme of the soul.
Yeah.
You have to keep paying in more lies to cover the old ones, and eventually the whole thing just collapses.
Jennifer Pan is an extreme case, obviously. It's an outlier. Most people with strict parents don't commit murder.
Right.
They go to therapy, they move away, they become accountants and have panic attacks. But the underlying psychological currents, the shame, the need to hide failure, the dissociation, the imposter syndrome, those are very real things that affect a lot of people.
It's a tragedy of high pressure, a tragedy of a fracture in reality that just got too wide to bridge. And it serves as a grim warning about the difference between raising a child and programming a robot.
That's a great way to put it.
A robot will do exactly what you say until its programming conflicts with reality, and then it malfunctions. Jennifer Pan malfunction.
And it forces us to look at the cost of saving face. Jennifer spent years trying to save face, trying to keep up appearances. And in the end, it cost her everything. Her freedom, her mother's life, her father's trust. It's a total annihilation of the self she was trying so hard to protect.
As we wrap up this debut deep dive of Psyche Files, we want to leave you with something to think about. We've looked at the mind, not just the crime. We've seen how the golden child became the killer.
And usually, true crime stories end with the verdict. But the psychological story continues in the minds of everyone listening.
So here is the question we want you to carry with you today. We look at Jennifer Pan and we see an anomaly. But how many other golden children are walking around right now? How many people do you know, or maybe how much of yourself, is currently terrified of making a single mistake?
How many people are constructing a reality, brick by brick, lie by lie, just to avoid that feeling of shame? And how long can they keep building before it all comes crashing down?
The pressure to be perfect is a heavy burden. And sometimes the strongest thing you can do is just admit that you aren't.
That's the real bravery.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. I'm your host.
And I'm your expert guide.
This has been Psyche Files. Stay curious, stay critical, and we'll see you in the next deep dive.